essential everyday carry item for me is a handheld gaming device, so I thought it'd be cool to do a video on my current lineup of portable consoles. We'll take a look at 5 of them, and then rate each one on a scale of 1 to 20, looking at quality, portability, value, and fun factor. We'll also take a look at the best use case for each device so you can figure out which one may be best for you. If you find this video useful at all, be sure to give it a like and subscribe. So first up, we have the Evercade Hyper Mega Tech Taito Edition. And this retails for $59 from Amazon. And it's going to come with 18 games just built into the device. And new Evercade cartridges usually run around $25, but they're going to vary with how many games are actually included. It also comes in a Capcom, Atari, and Technos edition. So I really like Evercade because I think they bring something really unique to the handheld video game space, and that's that they mainly focus on arcade games. The Taito edition that I have here is mostly made up of side-scrolling fighter games and classics like Space Invaders. My favorite game on this device has to be Bubble Puzzle, which is the predecessor to Snood. Like many people my age, Snood was a staple in my household growing up. You can also add cartridges to these devices, and here I have a brand new one that includes the N64 game Glover. So Evercade is beginning to branch out into home console games like this as well. They also have another cool one featuring all of the Tomb Raider games, and I really want to get that one soon. Also, all games on Evercade are officially licensed, which means they will all work really well and they come directly from the companies that made them. So let's rate this device starting out with quality, which I'm going to give 4 out of 5. The actual body of the device is really nice and it feels like it can take a beating. You can definitely just throw this in a bag and go without a case. However, the screen is a little small and the resolution is nothing to write home about. Next, we're going to look at portability, which I'm going to give 4 out of 5 because this thing is basically the size of a Game Boy Pocket, so it's really easy to carry around. Next is the value, and with this coming in at under $60 and including 18 games built into the device, this is a pretty great value. Last up, we're going to look at fun factor, and I'm going to give this 3 out of 5 because while some of the games are super fun, a lot of them are not. I'd be happier if Evercade included half of the amount of games, but ones that were more enjoyable to play all the time. So the Evercade Hyper Mega Tech Taito Edition gets a final score of 15 out of 20. And I'd say buy this device if you like arcade games. It works great for both everyday carry as well as longer travel. And it's cheap enough that you can just throw it in a bag and not worry about it getting damaged. Next up is the RG28XX from Anbernic. And this comes in at $39 from Anbernic, or around $60 if you buy it from Amazon. The device comes with hundreds to thousands of games on it, depending on where you buy it from. It comes in 4 different colorways, including lava orange pictured here, as well as beige white, gray, and black transparent. And I really like this device because it's super portable. You can just throw it in your pocket pretty easily, and it pretty much has an endless amount of games to play. There are also so many other handhelds from Anbernic, so if you don't like this form factor, they have other ones that look like Game Boy Color or even Game Boy Advanced SP. So Anbernic devices are emulators, which means they basically run files of game emulations, so you aren't actually getting the officially licensed versions like you will find with Evercade. And some of the preloaded games may actually just not run correctly at all. You can download files online to your microSD card that will go into the device, but it's more of a process than just buying new cartridges. So let's rate this device out of 20, starting with the quality. And overall, the actual build of this device is pretty good. It has a nice, crisp screen, and it feels pretty sturdy. However, the software is a little spotty, and numerous games on this thing will crash before you even start playing them. So quality does get a score of 3 out of 5. Next up is portability, and this thing gets a 5 out of 5. It's so easy to throw in a sling, a backpack, or even just in your pants pocket. And next up is the value. And with this thing coming in at under $40 from the manufacturer, it's a steal. Even if some of the games don't end up working, there's going to be hundreds more to choose from. So 5 out of 5 for value. Lastly is going to be the fun factor, and I love playing old Sega games on this thing, so the nostalgia level is high for me. I give it a 4 out of 5 here. So the Anbernic RG28XX comes in at 17 out of 20 for the final score. You're going to want to buy this device if you want to be able to play a ton of different games for cheap and don't expect the playing experience to be perfect. This thing is going to be really great for long travel, as there are near endless amounts of games to play. Next up is the Nintendo Switch Lite. This retails for $199 from Nintendo, and new Switch games usually run around $60. But you can purchase those games physically or digitally through Nintendo. It comes in 5 different colors, including the turquoise pictured here, and they also come out with limited editions from time to time that are based on games. Switch Lite is the more portable version of the standard Switch, which can also be used as a portable console, so it's a little confusing. But the regular Switch is $100 more, it's much larger, but it can also be used at home on your TV. This device is definitely the most advanced on the list. The games are going to be higher quality, the build of the actual device is going to be a lot better, you have this enormous screen, and this thing is just really awesome. I've loved Nintendo devices since I was a kid, and I still remember someone in my neighborhood getting an N64 and everyone going over to his house to play for hours on end. The game I play the most these days is Tony Hawk 1 and 2 because it's one of my favorite games of all time. I also love playing the motocross game called Time Trials because it's really easy to turn your brain off and kind of just flow with the game. You can also subscribe to a few different yearly packages from Nintendo to be able to play old games from Super Nintendo or even N64. So let's rate this device starting with quality. And this is an easy one. It's definitely a 5 out of 5, no questions asked. Next up is going to be the portability. And while this is relatively thin, compared to the other devices on this list, this is going to be the least portable. So we're going to give this 2 out of 5 here. Next is the value. And this will come in at 3 out of 5 because it does cost $200, which is 4 times the amount of some of the other consoles on this list. It also doesn't come with any games, so you will need to purchase a game to be able to play this out of the box. And lastly, we have the fun factor. And I'm going to rate this 5 out of 5 because I've always had so much fun playing the Switch. It is one of the best consoles of all time, in my opinion, even if it does score lower than some of the other consoles on this list due to things like portability and value. The Nintendo Switch Lite has a final score of 15 out of 20. And I'd say buy this device if you want a regular home console and a more portable form factor. I love playing this when I'm just sitting around at home, but it's also great for travel if you do have a little more room in your bag to pack it. Next, we have the Nintendo Game & Watch Super Mario Bros. Edition, and this comes in around $50 on Amazon, and it includes Super Mario Bros. 1 and 2, as well as Ball, the Mario version. This device also comes in a Legend of Zelda version. The device was originally made as a limited edition for the 35-year anniversary of Super Mario Bros. They don't make it anymore, but you can find it through secondhand sellers on Amazon and eBay. It's a great little collector's item, and it functions and is made surprisingly well for a handheld device that's the size of a credit card. So let's rate the Game & Watch starting with the quality first. And I have to give this a 4 out of 5 because the screen is nice and bright, the buttons feel great to push down, and the overall build is really solid. Next up is portability, and this scores a 5 out of 5, in that you can even throw it in the pocket of a pocket tee and would actually stay pretty secure in there. Next up is the value, and while this is only $50, it does come with only 2 games. If anything, it's more of a nostalgic piece and a great collector's item. However, the games on it are really fun, so we'll give it 2 out of 5 for value. Lastly, the fun factor. And like I said, we're talking Mario here, so the games are super fun and what many of us grew up playing. So there's an immediate familiarity when you pick up this device. But in the small chance that you didn't grow up playing these games, you might not enjoy it as much as the other devices on this list, so we're going to give the fun factor a 3 out of 5. So the final score for the Nintendo Game & Watch is going to be 14 out of 20. And I'd say buy this device if you want something that's super portable that you can play in short spurts. I love taking this along in the morning on the way to work while riding the train, and I think it's absolutely perfect for that. Lastly, we're going to look at the Game Boy Color, and this will cost you around $75 to $100 on eBay. Games are going to run anywhere from $5 up to hundreds of dollars depending on how rare the game is, and games are purchased separately and they're physically put into the device. So the Game Boy Color, you might have had one of these growing up because a majority of people did. They were super popular. Most games for this device are pretty simple. There aren't any three-dimensional graphics, but this thing is pure nostalgic fun. I've gotten some comments on this one in the past for not modifying the screen to a new, sharper one, but honestly, I like playing this one in its pure nostalgic form. There is actually a mod I do want to try out separately though, and that one's from Funny Playing Games. You basically buy a kit from them and you can build an updated version of the Game Boy Color. I really want to try this out and we'll probably feature it in a future video. But as for this console, let's give this a quick rating starting with the quality. This will get 3 out of 5 because the screen doesn't light up and it really just doesn't measure up with modern gaming devices. However, the actual physical build of the device is robust. Next up is the portability, and this will also get 3 out of 5. It's semi-portable, but it's held back by things like being powered by AA batteries. Next is the value, and this will be 2 out of 5. It doesn't come with any games, and buying new ones can be relatively expensive based on the game. The actual device itself can also be pretty expensive depending on the color of the Game Boy that you buy. But lastly, we have the fun factor, which is going to be 5 out of 5. Games like Pokemon are so much fun to play on this thing, even though the screen is a little tough to see. So the Game Boy Color, final score for Game Boy Color will be 13 out of 20. And I'd say buy this thing for nostalgia. It's also so much fun being able to go to a local used video game store and search for old games for this. So now let's take a look at all of the final scores for all of the devices we looked at today. So hopefully this video will help you in deciding if you want to pick up one of these two. This video in no way is sponsored, but I will put links in the description for places that you can buy all of these. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.